you're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. We start off today's bulletin with US mass shootings. Now, 19 children out of 21 people have died after a mass shooting at an elementary school in Texas, in a town near San Antonio. Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has said that the suspect, identified as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, was reportedly killed by police officers and that 2 officers were struck by gunfire. Now, the governor said that their injuries were not serious. Now, this was the deadliest such incident since the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting in Connecticut, in which 20 children and 6 staff were killed. Now, in a televised speech soon after, US President Joe Biden said, and I quote, "As a nation, we have to ask when in God's name we're going to stand up to the gun lobby, when in God's name we do what we all know and our gut needs to be done," end quote. Now, Mr. Biden accused the gun lobby of blocking enactment of tougher firearm safety laws. Now, he ordered flags flown at half-staff daily until sunset on Saturday in observance of the tragedy. Biden also added, and I quote, "I am sick and tired of it. We have to act," end quote. Now, according to the Centers for Diseases Control and Prevention latest data, there were 19,350 firearm homicides in the US in 2020, which is 35% more compared to the data in 2019. Moving on to what's happening in India right now, an NIA court has sentenced Kashmiri separatist leader Yasin Malik to life imprisonment in a case related to terrorism and secessionist activities in the Kashmir Valley in 2016-17. Now, the NIA had sought the death penalty before the Delhi court for Malik. Yasin Malik had earlier pleaded guilty to all the charges, including those under the stringent UAPA in a terror funding case. Now, Malik, head of the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front, has been accused by the NIA of orchestrating violent protests during 2016, in which 89 cases of stone pelting were reported. Now, according to PTI, security forces have also been deployed to avoid any law and order problems. Shops in most of the areas are shut. Moving on now, according to NDTV, a new petition seeking a ban on the entry of Muslims to the Gyanvapi mosque complex was today transferred from the court of the civil judge to a fast-track court in Varanasi. Vishwa Vedic Sanatan Sangh had filed the plea, and they've sought permission for Hindus to worship the alleged Shivling allegedly found in the mosque complex. Now, the case will now be heard on Monday, which is the 30th of May. Now, this is a different petition from the earlier petitions filed, especially the one on the 20th of May. Varanasi's district court will be hearing the case of the maintainability in the case as sought by the mosque committee in that particular case, and that will be heard on priority on the 26th of May by the district judge. Earlier, the Supreme Court had ordered the civil court to transfer the case to the district judge. On the 20th of May, a suit filed by Hindu plaintiffs seeking to offer prayers at the back of the western wall of the Gyanvapi mosque was transferred from Divakar's court, the civil court, to Varanasi district court by the Supreme Court, citing the complexity of the matter. And in fact, the Supreme Court also said that a senior and more experienced judge must oversee this. We're doing an explainer on what this case is about, what the courts have said, and why there are so many petitions. It will go up on our YouTube channel, so do take a look at it and tell us what you think of it as well. Moving on now, Mumbai Traffic Police has made it mandatory for both the rider and pillion rider to wear helmets while riding a two-wheeler. Now, the new rule will be implemented after 15 days from now. Violators will be fined 500 rupees and their driving license will be suspended by 3 months. Moving on to politics, starting off with Kapil Sibal now saying that he has quit Congress. Now, he revealed today that he's quit the Congress party and also added that he has filed his nomination papers for Rajya Sabha as an independent candidate supported by the Samajwadi Party. Now, SP chief Akhilesh Yadav was also present. Mr. Sibal's Rajya Sabha term ends in July. The Congress has now just 2 MLAs from the UP Assembly, so it cannot elect anybody to the Rajya Sabha from the state. Now, the Rajya Sabha elections next month will include 11 Uttar Pradesh seats. Following this, Akhilesh Yadav said, and I quote, Kapil Sibal is the first person we have chosen for the Rajya Sabha election. 2 more nominations will be announced soon, end quote. Now, while speaking to reporters, Mr. Kapil Sibal said, and I quote, we are all constrained by the fact that there are members, or we have members of parties and have to abide by the discipline of that party. But it is important to have an independent voice. When the voice of an independent is raised, people will feel that he is not associated with any other party, end quote. Now, other exits from the Congress earlier, before Mr. Kapil Sibal, have been former Congress Punjab Chief Sunil Jakar, Gujarat's Hardik Patel, former Law Minister Ashwani Kumar, and former Union Minister RPN Singh as well. Moving on to business news right now. Punjab Cooperation Minister Harpal Singh Cheema has announced an increase in milk procurement prices by 55 rupees per kg fat for dairy farmers. Now, the increase in milk procurement prices will not have any impact on retail milk prices. This decision comes after dairy farmers held a massive protest at a state-owned milk plant in Mohali, seeking hike in prices. Now, they had demanded that at least 100 rupees per kg fat increase in the procurement price. The protest ended after the state government assured to consider their demands as well. In the meantime, the IMF's chief economist, Gita Gopinath, has said that advanced economies will be back on track by 2024, but developing economies will be 5% below where they would have been otherwise. She added that all the economies across the world were affected by COVID, and it is now on the path of recovery. Also in the news, India has imposed restrictions on the export of sugar to 10 million tons from the 1st of June. Now, this follows the wheat ban that had happened earlier, wheat export ban. The centre has now said that it is being done to maintain domestic availability and price stability. Now, this is being done for the first time in 6 years, and according to PTI, sugar exports to the European Union and the United States under CXL and tariff rate quota will continue. Now, India is the second largest sugar producer after Brazil, with its 3 states, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Maharashtra, contributing to 85% of sugar output demand. Now, Sudhanshu Pandey, Secretary of Department of Food and Public Distribution, said soon after this decision, and I quote, the government wants to ensure enough sugar stock availability in India, especially during sugar lean season of October and November, which is the festival season in India. Now, the global situation reflects a shortage of sugar. This may trigger the demand globally, and so as to safeguard domestic availability and interests, the step has been taken by the government, end quote. Now, he also added that export has gone up from 0.47 LMT to 100 LMT in the last 5 years, which is more than 200 times, and hence that this decision has taken place. Now, the average retail price of sugar in India is around 37 to 44 rupees per kg. This decision really comes in the backdrop of wheat exports being banned, with the IMF, and this is the latest information, the IMF has now implored India to reconsider and said that the country could play a key role in international food security and global stability as well. On to news coming in from across the world, starting off with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister has now taken charge as the Finance Minister as well. Mr. Wickremesinghe will now lead talks with the International Monetary Fund as the crisis-hit country seeks a bailout. Now, he also said that he will present an interim budget within 6 weeks, slashing infrastructure projects to reroute funds into a 2-year relief program for the crisis-hit island nation. Now, Sri Lanka is undergoing its worst ever economic crisis since independence. And one piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin: UK has banned advertisements for cosmetic surgeries for people below the age of 18. Now, this includes on TV and social media as well. It means that companies can no longer advertise procedures designed to change a person's physical appearance, like breast enhancements and nose jobs, on media that will appeal to people under the age of 18. Now, the move also aims to tackle body image pressures and mental health issues, and also complications post procedures among teenagers. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.